school or to work, you might consider taking your bike and the bus and a boat on vacation. So I'll show you a few examples, and these are things that I've done myself and I really enjoyed. Some of my favorite vacations were leaving the car behind. So first of all, we have a number of bike paths on Whidbey Island. So we have the Oak Harbor Waterfront Trail, which you can do by bike. Part of it is paved and part of it is gravel. So, but the gravel is very small, packed gravel, so easy to ride with a bike. The Cootville Kettles bike path that goes to Rhododendron Park. It starts at about Winterhawk Lane, goes to Rhododendron Park. Is accessible by bus at Libby Road, Sherman Road, Jacob Road, and Main Street, South Main Street in Cootville. I think that's a 4-mile stretch from one end to the other. So 8 miles round trip, and that's a great place to teach a kid how to ride a bike because it's a wide paved, flat, well, some of it is flat, some of it's quite up and down. So the Sherman Road area is pretty hilly. The Kettles Trail and Fort Evie Trail is very popular with mountain bikers. It's unpaved, it's through the woods, and if you're out there for a hike, beware because mountain bikers love that area. The Freeland Trail is another paved bike path that goes from Cameron Road over to Fish Road, and then you can cross the intersection at the light and take a narrower paved path down to the water at Freeland County Park. So those are the bike paths that I'm aware of on Whidbey Island. If you've tried those and you want to do something a little bit longer, maybe a little more fun, you can go up to the Tommy Thompson bike path that goes from Anacortes out to Marches Point. You can put your bike on a bus. The 411W goes from Oak Harbor up to Marches Point, and then it's about 3/4 mile on the road to get to this trestle. And then the trestle is about 1,000 feet long, and then you can ride 3.3 miles into Anacortes and maybe go to like the farmer's market on Saturday. Anacortes is really a fun, thriving downtown, fun place to visit. And this bike path makes it super easy. It's right along the water, it's flat, it's paved. A lot of people are out walking their dogs, jogging, pushing their strollers and things like that. If you don't want to do any of it on the road, you can take the Skagit Transit bus from Marches Point into Anacortes and ride the bike path from there. So you just get off at the Safeway bike path parallels that street, so you can just ride back and forth from that end. That's a fun ride. We did that Thanksgiving with some friends and went out to lunch. Another one is longer, 22.5 miles. You can start in Cedar-Woolley. This is a Rails to Trails that's unpaved. It's a gravel path. And we've done this on Thanksgiving, and it's or Thanksgiving weekend, and it gets flooded in places. So we have to take off our shoes and socks and carry it. So I tried it last summer instead. No flooding in the summertime. So you can ride from Cedar-Woolley to Concrete, and that's a pretty good ride. Beautiful along Skagit River. I like to reward myself when I do something like that. So I go to the 5B's Bakery, which is delicious in Concrete. Or if you're coming back the other way, you can go to the Woolley Market in Cedar-Woolley, which I think is a really fun place. So give yourself a reward. If you just want to do it one way and not ride 45 miles, you can hop on the bus, put your bike on the bus on one leg of that trip. So that's a beautiful ride. Try that for a day outing. There are also these really great Rails to Trails in the King County area or Snohomish County. So the Snoqualmie Valley Trail is 31.7 miles from Rattlesnake Lake down to Duval. That's a really fun ride, beautiful in the fall. The Centennial Trail is paved, and it's one of those popular ones in Snohomish County. They have a lot of restaurants at the Snohomish, the Snohomish end. You start in Snohomish and then go all the way, almost all the way up, past Arlington. So there's quite a long way to go there, past a lot of parks, spring picnic. And then if you want to go to the East Lake Sammamish Trail, it connects with a bunch of other trails. And all these trails are accessible by bus. So you can make a bus bike combo just for a fun day out. And I want to show you brochure I picked up called Bicycling and Trail Map in Snohomish County. And if you open it up, there's some really nice bike maps, bicycling in Everett and Mukilteo is a really huge map. And a couple of them, the Centennial Trail is on one side and the interurban is on the other side. It shows the connections. So it's really a fun way to go and explore your county and your area just close around Island County. If you want to go a little farther afield, this is a really fun way to explore Vancouver Island. So you can put your bike on the ferry. So in the wintertime, the ferry doesn't go from Anacortes to Sydney. So you can put your bike, you can go up to Tawasin across the Canadian border, put your bike on a ferry and go to Schwartz Bay, which is at the top of this map, and ride all the way down to Victoria. Which is a nice ride. And then there are more rides from Victoria. So what I did was come down to Victoria, spend Sunday in Victoria. So I can go to Bouchard Gardens or the Provincial Museum, Emily Carr's house, all those things that you can do around Victoria on Sunday when the public transit isn't as available. And then you could also take your bike out to Souk on the Galloping Goose, which used to be a little electric train. And that's for 34 miles one way. There's a nice hotel on the water in Souk. You can ride out there, spend the night, come back the next day. There's also a ferry between, between Whidbey and the Olympic Peninsula, and also between Port Angeles and Victoria. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But there's this Olympic Discovery Trail that goes across the top of the north end of the Olympic Peninsula. It's not finished yet, but you can do most of it if you combine it with a bus. So you can hop on your bike in Port Townsend and ride for a ways, and then take a bus down to Discovery Bay where the casino and the totem poles are. Put your bike on the bike path along the water, ride on by Sequim out to the other side, the west side of Port Angeles, hop on a bus and take it to the west end of Lake Crescent and ride back on the north side of Lake Crescent, which is beautiful. So let me show you a few pictures of that. There's the Railroad Bridge Park in Sequim, which is right next to a little nature center. You can take your bike along the bike path between Sequim and Port Angeles. There are lots, it's not completely flat. When they get to a creek, they often dip down and then pull it right back up. And I just dismount at that point because it's too scary to go straight down and then have to pedal straight back up. So that's a really nice ride. But last summer I did this ride along the north side of Lake Crescent, which is just gorgeous. You even get to go through a tunnel. So you'd go to the far side, the west side of Lake Crescent, and ride the road from the Fairholme campground up to the west end of this trail, and then you can go back and forth. And you can stop at Lake Crescent for lunch or an overnight. Beautiful lodge by the lake. So here's an example. This is something I did a few years ago on a long weekend. I think it was Memorial Day weekend. So I took the bus up to the Anacortes ferry, put my bike on the ferry, visited a friend in the San Juan, caught the ferry from Friday Harbor out to Sydney to ride my bike down to Victoria. The next day I saw the sights in Victoria, and then I put my bike on the Blackball ferry coming from Victoria down to Port Angeles, and then rode from that ferry along the water out to Sequim, put my bike on the bus, went to Port Townsend, visited a friend. Next day I caught the ferry to Coupeville, and that was a Monday or Tuesday morning. So I just rode my bike over to work 3 miles away and was at my desk ready to go at 8 o'clock. So that was a really nice trip. You can make that into a week-long trip if you want. You could extend it on Victoria side or on the Port Angeles side. So lots of options. But the very first bike trip I ever took was the best one so far. And that was, I was going to visit my sister who lived near Pittsburgh at the time. So I flew back east, rented a bike and got on the Great Allegheny Passage, which is a Rails to Trails project that was 150 miles. They have places to camp along the way, water and restrooms along the way. The little towns along the way are really very hospitable to people who are riding this path, and there's no traffic anywhere. So you pass all these historic sites. And then after 150 miles on the Great Allegheny Passage, you connect with the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal towpath, which follows the Potomac and meets the Shenandoah rivers, and that's 185 miles. So it's beautiful, historic place. I was doing it in the fall and the colors were changing. So the whole trip was 334 miles. Since then, my niece did the same thing. She did it in the summertime. I did it in the fall. There's a lot more people doing it in the summer, but I would recommend spending a vacation on your bike. This one was a hybrid bike. It wasn't really a mountain bike, but it had bigger tires than a street bike, and pretty easy to do, either camping or just staying in little hotels along the way. So if you have any questions about that, I love to fantasize about those kinds of things. So those are my 4 short talks on transit. And if you have any questions or ideas or experiences that you want to share with me, I'd be happy to hear them. Just, you can email me at travel@islandtransit.org or call 678-7771. Thank you.